This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO Radio is back, a special Thursday edition, but maybe you're in the future and you're watching on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, checking in with Auto Club Finals results. Championships were decided, and the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhardt, will be joining us just seconds from now. First of all, it's a little miracle that we got back on the air after that whole worldwide Google Cloud disruption that happened earlier in the week as we were just getting ready to get on the air. But we rescheduled. We're here on Thursday. And again, I guess it doesn't matter to anybody who's actually watching it. But something that does matter is we're doing a special Friday show, also Friday, 12 noon. So write it down, set a reminder. This guy, Ron Capps, your 2021 NHRA Camping World Funny Car Champion, will be joining us on Friday at 12 noon, the first of our Parade of Champions. The WFO Parade of Champions has been going for over 10 years, where we connect with each and every Camping World Series champion, and we certainly try to catch up with the Lucas Oil Series champion, and it will be great. Ron Capps on a Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. To me, that's the start of the weekend. Just saying. After we get off the air with Capps, we'll bust open a couple of beverages, and that will be that. We'll put 2021 NHRA to bed as far as that goes. I did mention we've got the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhardt, queued up. I'm watching the numbers come up. They're coming up slow because we're in a new day, an odd time, and we were supposed to be on earlier this week. So we ask everybody to share the show, retweet the show. Let's build those numbers. Let's get everybody going, and we'll get rolling again. I see some of our regulars are out there, Jim Essex and Blake from Wyoming and Maddie all out there. Yeah, Jim, let's try this again, of course. Lonnie's out there. Got my like in. Now bring on Joe and Alan. But what about a share? So I can tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do WFO Radio. Very, very big, like Torque Calibration Services of Australia. Go to the website, torquecalibrationservices.com.au. See what they do. They're big in V8 supercars and drag racing down under. And WFO Radio, it's pretty amazing. We've got such a great following down there. And, Matt knows he's not marketing to the masses right now. He's trying to get right into the heart of Australian drag racers and people in that industry and let them know that he is supporting WFO Radio programming as we try to bring the world of drag racing closer together. Thanks to Matt for supporting our Champions Week on WFO Radio. TorqueCalibrationServices.com.au. Great friends of the show. And of course, our regular sponsors like Total Seal Piston Rings. I will be at PRI in the Total Seal booth. We'll release the schedule as we get a little bit closer. So if you're planning to go to the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show, make a plan to swing by Total Seal and hang out and learn a little bit more. They've got all kinds of great things going on their website, the ability to order individual rings right on the website, all going on. Go to TotalSeal.com. Now's the time, right? Time to refresh your stuff, pull those engines apart, put them back together, and Total Seal can help you unlock the hidden horsepower in your engine. Plus the podcast, we got a new episode getting ready to drop with Gary Stinnett, which you are going to love, no doubt. The Frank Iaconio episode going like gangbusters. Frank addresses so many things from his career, but the Gary Stinnett episode, I think, is going to blow your mind. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Looking forward to seeing those guys up there at the PRI trade show. Brian Massengill, Linda Judson, the whole family over there, educating and training the next generation of engine builders and machinists. Samtech.edu, if you're looking for a good future building and doing and making, go to samtech.edu. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. The Dragster Adventure is what I push, right? You can go get your alcohol funny car license by all means. If you watch WFO and you go to get your alcohol funny car license, tell them you heard about it on WFO. Like, man, they are talking about you on this show. But it's the Dragster Adventure that I really think is the most mainstream thing for our audience, because who doesn't want to drive a dragster, aspire to drive a dragster? And with the holidays coming, it makes a great gift. Courses start at $399, but this is a half-day experience. You make 3 runs down the track, 1 half track, 2 full track passes. You're debriefing with Frank. And to me, man, if you can't extract some great information from Frank while you're hanging out in half a day, that's on you. And if somebody gives you this, you get to pick where you go, when you go. It's all up to you. They travel all around the country. FrankHawley.com. And then my main man, Marvin Rodak, out there in Fort Worth, Texas, roasting up coffee, fresh per your order. I hear the man is busy. So here's the deal. you don't know what you're going to get people for the holidays. Everybody's talking about like supply issues. Let me tell you, Rodax has got coffee, and he can roast it and send it out in your name to your people. Give him a call. 817-924-6821. Marvin Rodak, hot sauces and spice rubs, everything good. Can send you a couple of holiday packs, and then you send them to your peeps, and they will be happy. And everybody's always tweeting. Like, that's the one I love to see, is when the Rodax arrives, they're like, what? Because they can smell it long before opening up the box. It's like a great experience. Later on in the show, I'll tell you a little bit about the WFO Radio store. We've got all kinds of great stuff for you to get as the holidays approach in our WFO Radio store, where people in winterlands can get coffee mugs and sweatshirts and alternate logo sweatshirts and hoodies and the new wide F and open logo tee, right? That is up there in our t-shirt store on TeePublic. And I'll send that out right now to everybody watching in the chat. Jump on there, get some WFO drip. The latest drip, y'all. WFO Radio. Super excited. All right, time to bring on the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhardt. Got all my business out the way. See what AR has got to say.
Wait, long sleeve, wide effing open t-shirt?
Yeah.
I got to get me one of those.
Yeah. We got them all. The thing about this, okay, so behind the scenes, Alan, I like to break the fourth wall all the time and let people behind the scenes. It's my talk radio background. I think they like it. When I was trying to do the gear, and still have some gear in-house, but the shipping part of it, right, was the biggest problem. Like, I get an order or 2 or 5, and that would take me a couple hours to like pack them up and everything. Not thing. This service that I'm using, not only can you get the same artwork on mugs and shirts and sweatshirts and t-shirts and all this different stuff, but you can change the color. Like the Jay Seelig got one in gray. And the best part, this dude, Jay Seelig, ordered on Friday. The stuff showed up on Monday. If you're in Australia, they print them in Australia, from what I understand. So Castello doesn't have to fill out the paperwork for customs and all that stuff. It's going pretty good so far. And so now that I've tested it a little, it's time to step on the pedal. All right, enough people have tried it. Monica ordered a mug. It showed up. It was nice. She loved it. Now we're going to like really promote the deal and increase our stuff. Like, this is a new design, right? We think it's kind of cool. Everybody's always pressing us to go more into the wide F and open deal. Still want it to be relatively, friendly. I'm not putting bad words on my stuff, but we got more to come too. Like, we're going to load it up with designs, new designs, past designs, new sayings, all kinds of stuff in the WFO store.
Long sleeve t-shirts you don't run into very often anymore. And I wear them riding the motorcycles. So that's why it caught my eye.
Well, and the guy from Arizona, you're riding a motorcycle. It makes perfect sense. You don't want to be too hot, but you want protection. Guy from Florida, long sleeve t-shirt. I don't know. Maybe you're out on a boat or something. You want to keep the sun off your arms. And that's why all the choices. So many choices for people out there. But I appreciate everybody.
Okay, well, I got to go. I'm going to go order a t-shirt. See you
later, Reinhardt. Hey, the podcast we did early in the week was going like gangbusters. We missed out on the live stream, but we directed everybody to the podcast. That was the 50,000-foot summary. Today, we're going to do the deeper dive. But just before we came on, NHRA, Brian Loans jumped on there and announced the Pro Stock schedule for 2022, along with all the other schedules. I don't know if you were able to hear, but you want to hear Pro Stock 2022 schedule?
Yeah, I literally have been running around all morning, and I got here 5 minutes before we hooked up, so I haven't even been online.
And for everybody who's wondering, why is Reinhardt a little fuzzy? It's an internet access issue, and it's coming and going, but he's good.
On my end.
You know what he looks like. Everybody knows what Reinhardt looks like. But anyway, the first 5 races of the year, Pomona through Houston, Pomona, Phoenix, Gainesville, Vegas 1, and Houston will feature Pro Stock, which I think is good. Then they're going to take 2 off. Charlotte 1 and Richmond, going to take it off. And then they're going to go 7 in a row. Epping, Bristol, Norwalk, Denver, Sonoma, Seattle, and Topeka. 7 in a row for Pro Stock. Then they're going to take Brainerd off, which I know people are bummed about Brainerd, but when you have an 18-race schedule and there are 22 races, you have to skip some races. Like, it's just the math. And so we're skipping Brainerd. They'll be on for Indy. They're skipping Reading, the first race of the countdown, and then 5 out to victory. Charlotte 2, St. Louis, Dallas, Vegas, and Pomona 2. for Pro Stock. I like the schedule. It's a bummer, but I think they're going to shift those races around. And so if you didn't get Pro Stock for a couple years, eventually you'll get Pro Stock for a few years. And that's going to have to just cycle out. And I honestly think people should travel more. I did the Gator Nationals every year since 1980, but I honestly wish that we had gone to a couple of other races during that stint. So if you love Pro Stock, follow them somewhere.
Well, I'm really glad to see they're going to be in Houston, since that's going to be the last Houston race. And Pro Stock has such a huge history in Houston. It's a very friendly atmospherically, usually that time of year. And for all the years when Houston would run what they called the Super Bowl of Pro Stock, everybody in Pro Stock would go there and test before they went to Pomona. So I'm really glad that they're going to be there for the send-off. I hate that they're going to miss Reading, just because, again, that's a really Pro Stock friendly track. That's a place where we see big numbers and fast runs. And so I hate that they're not going there this year. But overall, I think that sounds like a good decision. And I agree. For most of the fans, it's like, if you want to go see them, go see them. Hopefully, and I don't know, you maybe do, because, again, I haven't looked. With Pro Stock not being in Brainerd, does that mean Pro Mod comes back? Because the folks in Brainerd absolutely loved having Pro Mod there. I hate the fact that you're missing something, but you are getting something back. So I think that's a decent trade-off for the folks up there in Brainerd, because you were there. They flipped out over the Pro Mods.
They did flip out over the Pro Mods. The Pro Mod schedule is a 10-race schedule beginning in Gainesville and then skipping a couple of races and going Charlotte 1 and Richmond, and then skipping a couple of races and going. It is a 10-race schedule. Norwalk. Then they will be back after Norwalk in Topeka, Brainerd, and Indy. 3 in a row for the Pro Mod racers. Am I reading that right? Yes. Topeka, Brainerd, Indy, and then skipping a race in Reading, and then finishing out the season, Charlotte 2, St. Louis, and Dallas. Pro Mod ends at Dallas, not Vegas. Dallas, that is a departure. It is a 10-race schedule. We had gone up to 12. It had gotten a little thin, going back down to 10. I think this is the right number. And since we're just talking schedules of the different categories, Mountain Motor Pro Stock, which everyone was interested in, and I know you were, Richmond, which Pro Stock's not going to be at, Mountain Motor Pro Stock will be at. People are starting to see how it works now. Like, we're picking categories. Well, you don't get Pro Stock, but you get Mountain Motor Pro Stock. And then they'll be at Brainerd. So you can have Mountain Motor Pro Stock at Brainerd, at Indy, and they're going to finish their season, Mountain Motor Pro Stock, at Charlotte 2 for their 4-race mini season. But very interesting. And I might as well tell you Factory Showdown, right? Since we're doing this. Starting at Gainesville, Charlotte 1, which I asked Brian during the live feed, like, hey, are they going to run 4-wide? Right? Like, I want to see Factory Showdown cards 4-wide. And I think we should all make us think about it. They're going to be at Richmond, the Showdown cars.
Did he say no, or did they say it's being talked about?
He says, I don't know, was his answer. I don't know, not for sure, not determined just yet. But my vote is yes. What's your vote, Alan?
Well, I don't see any reason not to. One of the things that they've done with the 4-wide races is try to run the heads-up classes. They've included alcohol now. They included Pro Mod a couple of years ago. So I don't know why you wouldn't. Very difficult to do, obviously, in any kind of a breakout category. But a heads-up performance category, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Exactly. And I know that the powers that be are probably logged in and locked on to WFO Radio on YouTube and hear us saying it. So they'll definitely be manipulated to decide to go. Let's see. Factory Stock Showdown will also be in Bristol and Norwalk, then skip some races, back for Indy, back for Reading, Showdown in Reading. That's interesting. And end their season in Dallas. So the Showdown card's not really going out west. They'll be in Dallas for their 8-race schedule. So we're getting a lot of information.
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm okay with that. For whatever reason, there just don't seem to be a lot of really competitive Factory Showdown cars on the West Coast. Other than the Mountain View car, who's based out in that part of the country. And I think the same thing with the Pro Mods. We've seen the last couple of years, if the Pro Mod Championship is decided, the vast majority of those cars are either in the Midwest or out east. And so, we've had short fields at Vegas the last couple of years simply because if the championship was over and you didn't have anything in particular to race for, why in Ricky Smith's case, why go all the way from North Carolina out there? It just didn't make business sense. And so hopefully with the series ending in Dallas that, we will have stronger, fuller fields. And with only 12 of them, there's obviously the new power adder coming in. So that'll be something to watch too. But a lot of moving parts. But I like it. I think that, a lot of thought goes into that. I'm sorry, I have something flying around in here. Discussing with everybody from the racers to the track operators to looking at other schedules, especially, for like the Mountain Motor Pro Stocking, for instance, and even Factory Showdown to a point, because so many of those cars will run NMRA, NMCA, run other events, and trying to be friendly so that, we're all trying to be in business, right? I mean, there's no point in us scheduling something on top of somebody's big pro mod race someplace where the racers have to decide to go to one or the other. So if somebody has a traditional date or something locked down, and we've been making adjustments for that in the past, and there really is a lot that goes into that. For everybody to go, they just did this for no reason. No, I promise you there was a reason.
Well, and that's the thing. It's everybody, such emotional people out there reacting without thinking, like as if the NHRA hasn't really thought about many different factors. And even if you think about all these factors, it doesn't always guarantee it's going to work, right? Like something happens in an area, like we think about the hurricane, right? Knocked out a bunch of our racers. They couldn't come to races. They do their best. You have to announce the schedule at some point. And, we hope that everything works out. And so, but I'm liking the schedule from what I see. I'm excited about it. All these, cars and everything, great storylines, and good news in the NHRA too. I want to make sure that you saw that, and everybody saw all these streaming services, free 24/7 NHRA channel now available on 10 streaming platforms, including Tubi and Roku. Alan, there's 100 of these things now with these streaming services. I don't
even know what Tubi and Roku is.
Right. Rat TV, Local Now, Plex. Okay, so Roku, I know. Roku, I watch Roku.
I'm a techno dinosaur. Do you know how I get TV at my house?
How? Antenna.
I have an antenna.
Yeah, but that's actually not the worst way, because they broadcast super high definition over that antenna.
Yes, they do.
It's not a bad way to get. Roku was mentioned to me like 6 years ago by someone, and I looked at the stock and it was $20, and I was like, nah. It's now $400. And so I am inherently connected to Roku as a big miss. And I got it for my dad to watch NHRA.TV a couple of seasons ago. It was the only way you could kind of watch NHRA.TV through your device. And it is great. Now they've advanced. They're on Apple TV and they're on all these other ones. But Roku, built into televisions, it's been going for a while. But all these other ones, there's no downside. There's a reason that WFO Radio is available on Spotify and SoundCloud and Apple and Player FM and Podbean and wherever you get your podcast, because you might as well be everywhere. And it's good to see the NHRA is going to be everywhere.
Works for me. Maybe I'll have to do some more research.
Yes, exactly.
But I just want to show you this. This is because everybody makes fun of me for my antenna
and other things. Look at this.
But mostly for the antenna.
Mostly for the antenna, right? Exactly. It was a delayed retort, but it was a good one.
So
come on, guys, let's build the audience.
What is cable TV or satellite TV cost now? It's $100 a month, right?
Yeah. Yes, at least. Plus, you got to bundle it with your internet access. At least $100.
Okay, so here's my calendar. By the way,
yes.
Thanks to Hank Steffers, I already have my new one. Let's see here. In the month of May, I was home 5 days. In the month of June, I was home 2 days. In the month of August, I was home one day in August. In the month of July, I was home 2 days in the whole month of July. I'm not spending $100 a month so I can watch TV for 2 days.
Exactly, especially when you can get it on your phone. Right. No, the guy's right. That's what the cable cutters and the cord cutters are all about. It's good to see NHRA is going out into all these different areas and venues.
If I was home all the time, that would be different. I'm not home all the time.
You're a doer. You'd be working on the Mustang or the bikes or out on a ride. What did the Greeks say?
If I was home if I was home every day, then
Yes.
I would watch considerably more TV and I could justify spending. So, if I want to watch a particular football game, or if I want to catch NHRA and it's on FS1 this week, then I could justify spending the money. But I'm not home. So
Right.
I'm not,
Well, we do encourage people, though, spending large blocks of time watching content on race weekends on NHRA.tv. We're not suggesting that that's bad behavior, guys. We want you to do it. Like, just give up everything else and focus on NHRA.tv when Joe and Reinhardt are on, honestly. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
You're
why
learning.
wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you just spend all weekend long watching NHRA.tv? And we had a great year. It was great. But hey, listen, we promised that the audience has come up to an acceptable amount now. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing and retweeting the show, this Out of the Ordinary Thursday show with Alan Reinhardt. Let's talk results. We did the 50,000-foot version of the deal. Let's delve a little deeper into these major categories. Plus, we got the news in there. And as I mentioned, Ron Capps will be on 12 noon tomorrow. So hopefully everybody will join us for Ron Capps. But starting off, Mike Salinas, the number one qualifier, and kind of had a wild moment second round against Trip Tatum, who had a great race, gets around Salinas. But Salinas averting disaster. I don't want to make it sound like his driving was ever bad or anything, but he's kind of an older person, throws himself into a top fuel dragster, and it's taken a couple years. But what I saw out of the second half of the season from Mike Salinas was really strong, keeping the car in the groove, occasionally having a problem like he did. But when he got in trouble, he knew he was in trouble and he got out of trouble. Like, that's experience. What do they say? You got to make 100 runs before you really even know what you're doing in one of these cars.
Yeah, I've heard people say that. I think, if Mike had it all to do over again, I'm sure that he would take another moment to let the car settle down before he hit the gas when the thing went sideways and up on one wheel. But you know what? It's also Sunday. It's the last race day of the year. When he is sideways, pointing this way, he can see Trip Tatum. So he knows Trip's in trouble, right? I mean, if he's pointed this way and he sees Trip making a 375 run, okay. But he can see Trip's in trouble. So I think he just got a little bit overzealous when he hit the gas at one time and the car came back around, went up on one wheel. And, I said something to the effect of, I don't think you can get any closer to turning one over without actually turning one over. But, no harm, no foul, and it sure it's going to get a lot of TV over the next few years. I promise you that. So, you live and learn. And, he had a pretty good run with Alan Johnson. The 2020 thing obviously was very strange. And the fact that he's got so many business commitments, sometimes it's difficult for him to commit to being at every race. But he was able to win his first race and second and third. He was able to get some number one qualifiers. He was able to accomplish some pretty big goals in Top Fuel. And that's another one of the what is the personnel lineup at Scrapper's going to be next year? That's another one of the big announcements that everybody's kind of waiting to hear. There's still a lot of moving parts. Alan Johnson said on the TV show, I'm going to Coletta. So I'm taking that as official. And now, Mike's going to have to do something, and that something is.
There it is. Exactly. And Mike, I just want to, shout out to Mike Salinas, third in the points. You don't finish third in the points by accident. It's not like you don't back into a third in the points. We reset the points. Everybody goes in the playoff system. Everybody's got an equal opportunity to do as well as they can. And this dude finished third. He got a race win. He was in multiple final rounds. That's great news. And yes, the rumor and I said something a little maybe premature. We'll find out. Everybody's going to know everything soon enough. But I'm interested to see what happens with that Scrapper Racing team. One thing I know is for certain, Mike Salinas takes care of his guys. And that's hard. That's not that anyone's bad on their people, but Mike Salinas is extra good on his people. And I would like to work for someone that appreciated me and took care of me. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes.
So in other words, you're applying to be Salinas' new crew chief?
No, but hey, who knows? Maybe he needs
assistant crew chief.
Minister of Information. I'm thinking that I could be the Mike Salinas Scrappers Racing Minister of Information and Propaganda. They've got enough teams, for gosh sakes, the motorcycles and the A-Fuel car and Mike and what's going on. They need someone to organize all this madness, right? I could be, notice I'm not like PR person, because that sounds like too much grunt work. I'm talking Minister of Information, big picture strategies. Mike, you're out there.
You just want a bigger office. Yeah, I mean, why not?
And a bigger office, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Oh man, but anyway, so you like it?
Yeah, I think I would love to know. And when I see Jose Gonzalez next year, I'm going to ask him what he talked about, what he and Mike Salinas talked about, because Mike Salinas, I've never seen anybody flip a switch like Mike did as far as consistent reaction time. And once he figured it out, it was amazing, almost robot-like, that he was so consistent and so good, and he improved so much. He was very candid in the fact he said, Jose Gonzalez straightened me out. He told me what I needed, and it worked.
Amazing.
Hello. How about sharing a little of that advice over here, please?
Well, exactly.
But, he definitely stepped up his game from that point. And, of course, going into the countdown, reset the points, and he ends up with a third-place finish, which is very well-deserved.
Mark Caruso is out there. If it ran on Tito's and not Nitro, I'd apply for crew chief position. Just saying. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, okay. Well, have you considered applying with Lexus? I mean, it's not Tito's, but...
No, you're not applying anywhere, Mark. You have your own pro stock operation that you're about to dive into the water for, and we're going to be asking you for all kinds of information very soon, Mark Caruso. So be ready to go WFO. I can't wait. I'm super excited about Camry's deal and a second lady racer in pro stock. It is going to be awesome, off the chain, as they say. Back to the results from the race. Just want to kind of touch over a couple of names that had just a tough season. Leah got a win last time we were at Pomona, but the season did not end on a high note for her. Doug Coletta, brutal season, but we've already said how they're trying to choose to remedy that situation. Not everybody can have a great year, right? Like some people have got to come up short the way the sport is. It's just bizarre. Clay Milliken, mid-grade season. Just your thoughts on some of those names before we move forward.
Well, the Coletta Motorsports Top Fuel as a whole, and that's both Doug and Sean. And I'm not pointing finger at anybody in particular. They would tell you exactly the same thing. They did not achieve anywhere near what that team thinks it should do, what that team has done in the past, and what that team's capable of. And sometimes, the old baseball analogy, right? Sometimes you just got to bring in a new coach, a new manager. They're making some big moves. Technically, as I understand it, Alan is going to be dedicated to Doug's car, but that some of that's going to trickle down to Sean's car. And remember, Sean and Alan had a great working relationship in the past, including a Top Fuel championship under the Alanabi flag. So that team has made big moves in order to step up their program. For Clay and those guys, I talked to Doug Stringer. Parts Plus has re-upped multiple years, so they're going to be out there again. And they had a good, solid car. The problem is Steve Torrance is a trophy hog. That's the problem. And so until somebody on a consistent basis can run with and outrun the Capco boys, they're going to continue to be trophy hogs, and a whole lot of other people are going to have so-so seasons. So, I think the coupling of Alan and Doug is going to certainly be another player. David Grubnick showed that his car can run with anybody. So it can be done. You just got to figure out how to do it. And everybody's got a short winter break now to try to figure it out and try to move forward. But there were a number of teams out there that would tell you that they underachieved, but really you're just getting run over by the Capco train. So once everybody can figure out how to elevate to there, and we've seen it over the years time and time again, right? Somebody comes in, they're dominant, and they force everybody else to step up their level of competition. And it's going to happen. Steve knows he can't do this forever, but he is going to ride the wave as long as he possibly can. And when you're in a situation like he is, where what we're doing is working, and let's just keep doing it. And until they make a stop, if you're playing football and every time you hand the ball off, you get 7 yards, are you going to start throwing it? I wouldn't.
No.
Keep running the ball until they make a stop. And for the Torrance team, they have got just a tremendous nucleus of people. Steve did mention that they've got a couple of guys that want to come off the road, so that they're going to have a couple of new people coming in. But they have built this incredible machine, for lack of a better term, that is getting it done. And they don't look like they're going to change. They don't look like they're going to slow down. They're basically just going to keep doing it until somebody shows them we've got a better way, and then maybe they'll start looking at retooling. But, I still think Capco's the team to beat. I think that the Coletta team is going to be much stronger next year. Just, look at Alan Johnson's history. Everywhere he goes has been championship contender. And, I think Brittany's car is going to remain strong. I think Brittany herself will probably go to work this offseason, whether she's, working physically, mentally, whatever, to try to get zoned in and get her reaction times a little bit better, because they'll tell you flat out, you look at the stats and know that there were some races there that could have been won. And she doesn't have to be 35 on the tree. She just has to be solid, consistent, and improve a little bit. And she's determined. I think that she'll get to work and make that happen. So that's going to be another good car in the mix. I think, Top Fuel is going to be fun next year. All of the categories, if you look at it right now, I think are going to be loaded with talent and loaded with teams that are capable of winning on any given day. And it should be a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yes, going to be a lot of fun. And, the final point standings, Steve, Brittany, Mike Salinas, Justin Ashley fourth, Billy ended up fifth. Says he's kind of coming off the road, going to be more of a part-time deal last year. But he has also told us, I don't need to go to every race if I can just make it into the top 10 and do that deal. So we'll see how that gets tested. Antron sixth, Leah, Clay, Langdon, Doug Coletta rounding out the top 10. Josh Hart on the outside did not run a full schedule. And I sure hope beyond hope, that Alex Laughlin can keep his amazing programs going. Look at this. Alex with WFO listener Scott Malpass, Alex with WFO listener Derek Green. What a great program he did to get himself out there to the Auto Club Finals. I hope the folks at Haviland realize the following the kid has, and hopefully they can get him and Scott out there full time. We need Alex Laughlin as a full-time Top Fuel racer. And I don't know what we need to do to make that happen other than say it on WFO radio. But he did such a great job. And I think that was just a spark of what he could do with solid, consistent, stable backing. Certainty.
Yeah, I think, that certainly is a team that would be great to have him full-time. Josh has said he's going to be full-time. Leah is, even though she won Pomona in the middle of the year, I guarantee you she is, I don't think that out there more excited than her about the fresh start. And again, they have talented people. They have all the parts, all the stuff, all the technology, and it just didn't work. So make a change. And, with Tony starting a new team, I don't think Tony's ever had his fingerprints on anything that wasn't successful. Tony's not getting into NHRA championship drag racing because he thinks it'd be a nice hobby or it'll be fun or he can go. He's going because he wants to win. And you look at everything that he's done at every level, whether it's driving, whether it's owning, whether it's racing, whether it's promoting, and he goes out there to win. His Top Fuel and Funny Car teams are going to be the same way. So, Matt obviously had a good year. As I understand it, most of that team, if not every one of them, is going to make the move over to Tony Stewart Racing with Matt. So I expect them to come back and be strong again. And I expect Leah to have a bounce back season. She just, snake bit, the number of times that either some silly thing would happen on the car or, she would make a mental error and it's difficult. If every time you get in the car, you're going up there, I've got a car that can win the race, then mentally as a driver, you go out there and you're focused but if you get to the point, and I really feel like Leah did at some couple of times during the year, where you're pulling up the starting line and you're almost thinking, okay, what's going to happen this time? And it just makes it very difficult, to do the job that you're capable of doing. And so I think the fresh start is going to be good for her. Working with some familiar faces. I think there's going to be some new faces on her team over there as well. But, Tony isn't going to settle for mediocre performance. If he needs to do something different, he will. But you look at everything that he's always done, whether it's racing, whether it's business, and he is going to be successful. And I expect no less from his drag racing team.
Yes, and the stress of this time of the year for a guy like me is to not accidentally say something that's not supposed to be released. So after a quick search, it has been released that Neil Strasbaugh is going to be the crew chief for the dragster on that deal. And of course, Dickey and that whole team is going over there. So for Matt Hagan. So that's going to be very interesting. Tony gave a great interview on the starting line about how excited he was to be a part of NHRA drag racing and how much he genuinely likes the atmosphere, right? And I think that's like an ad for this sport. It's why I choose to be here. I know it's why you choose to be here. The cars are cool. There's a lot going on. There's many opportunities out in the world, but this is a very fun place to be. And they were really busting his chops, man. Slugger was leaning on him. It was great stuff, though. A lot of fun. And I'm excited to see how it all works out. Guys like Cam Ferret, though, guys like Trip Tatum, Cam Ferret, man, the kid, obviously, Cam, give him an opportunity. Maybe that thing can stay together. Maybe they can grow it a little bit more. Todd Payton, I know he likes to drive, but I'm always wondering, I've been saying this forever, right? Like racing and winning, but not being the driver versus being the driver and not necessarily racing and winning. Like we see it in a lot of different categories. Not that Todd is a bad driver by any means, but sometimes there's just too many balls to juggle. And I think what happened with that team was really interesting. They went some rounds. Cam's a star. They were cheering for him at Pomona. Like large numbers of people were cheering for Cam Ferret as he towed back more than most other racers. The kid's got a following. This is the thing with drag racing. You need him to get out there because he could be big.
Well, I think, and it's funny you call him kid because he's not. He looks like he'd check his ID to let him into an R-rated movie, but he's a little older than that.
He's a dad.
What I really love about NHRA is that we have a place for those people. Okay, Cam can come out 2 or 3 races a year, qualify. Okay, go some rounds, get out there in front of the fans. And because of the format that we have, obviously if there's 2 cars on the racetrack at once, then he is going to get some spotlight as opposed to, and please don't anybody take this as me bashing NASCAR. I love NASCAR. I have a lot of friends that make a living, but there's no place for a team like that in NASCAR. Okay. You and I couldn't go get a car and go, hey, let's go to Daytona and see if we can qualify. Ain't going to happen. Even if we did somehow, some way, come on, all the inspection, do all the stuff you have to do, and what's our real chance of like getting some TV time, it's not going to happen. But in NHRA, there is still a place for part-time racers for some of those small teams that they can come out if they've got the right parts and pieces, they've got the ability to come out, qualify rounds, make some fans, right? There's a lot of people that love cheering for the underdog.
Yes.
How many fans does TJ Zizzo have? Because they only get to see him 5 or 6 times a year. But I guarantee you, there's nobody in the top fuel on Sunday morning when they get in the ladder and go, oh, look, we got to run TJ's second round. They all know that good team, good car, they're going to go down the racetrack. They're going to have a decent showing. You're going to have to beat them. They ain't going to give it to you. But we have a place for those races. There are not a lot of, if any, professional sports have a place for that part-time racer to come, and especially where they're going to get anywhere near the exposure. Again, even if Joe and Allen Racing could field a WFO car and get it to Daytona, what are we really going to do? It's just so. And NHRA has got a place for those racers, and with a little good fortune, you can come out and shine. Go into the semifinals. You look at Brandon Welsh's team. Okay, yes. If you haven't been, if there was your first NHRA race, okay, Pomona was your first NHRA race, you'd never been to a race before. When Brandon rolls that car around the corner, do you think anybody in the stands went, well, that's obviously a part-time, low buck, couple of races a year guy? The professional presentation that they put together is huge. And, Scott Graham had the car running well. And so they can go out there and be as big as anybody on the racetrack on that one day. NHRA's got a place for those racers, and I love it.
Scott Graham, super talented crew chief, and just working that car the whole weekend, kind of got some things calmed down. It went down the track. They lost by a whisker. I hope to see Brendan Welsh out there more next year. And he's someone that has been communicating with WFO for a long time. Watched him like put together like a Frankenstein funny car with his grandfather's old stuff. And they did something that I thought was so smart. Like they cut bait on the project. You know what I mean? They sold all the stuff, and they bought new stuff of the new spec and everything, and they have themselves a car that can compete right now. And I got to tip the cap to the NHRA rules makers. I don't know how long it's been, Alan, like 10 years that they pretty much locked down the rules, and it's just like, nah, this is it. And all that information has kind of disseminated through the field, and you've got a lot of people who know how to work the parts, and you got a lot of people who know how to make them go down the racetrack, and you've got great competitive racing where like R&D and do you have the secret thing isn't the deal right now. That's not what NHRA racing is about. Development. It's about getting the right parts and pieces, and most importantly, the people to make it happen. So I'm interested to see what happens with Scott Graham in the future. He's every time he shows up, man, his cars go fast and they go down the racetrack. Here's a question that just came in. I actually have an answer. If you don't, ask Alan about the Star Racing rumor. I texted with George Bryce hours ago, and he says, nah, not true. So, yeah.
No, I think he and Jackie are basically retired. I mean, they still follow along very closely. I get, emails or text messages from Jackie on a pretty regular basis. George, just because he happened to be in Bristol, came in and joined us for the qualifying session. But yeah, I think, they're still paying attention. And I know that there's at least a couple of racers that still reach out to them from time to time, just, hey, a little guidance, a little advice, a little, if I send you some computer graphs, can you give me a look at this thing and see if maybe you can figure out what I'm missing? So they still definitely have, a finger in the pie, but I don't see him coming back on a full-time basis anytime soon.
But see, that's the thing is this guy heard something, and I heard something, and I know you heard something, and it was a kind of floating out there for a little while. So I texted George, and he said no, but he does help out Steve Johnson a little bit, and they had a great year. Great job by Steve. Let's move over to funny car. Speaking of rumors, Robert Hight, the #1 qualifier. How about that rumor, right? Robert Hight.
The dumbest thing I ever heard. I mean,
I like it.
Dumbest thing I ever heard.
Yeah. Well,
I can't believe anybody would even bite on that. I mean,
me either. Like whatever. But it's funny though, because it's funny. Like maybe the concept is in the realm, but the specifics are inaccurate. And so Robert calls it BS in a quote on Competition Plus, and of course they have to write his story because of the great quote. Now, once you ask Robert, what is it? He goes, it's BS, except he used the full term. Then it ends up in a story. But this is not a thing. If you
are the president of a company whose founder is in his 70s,
yeah,
and you have free reign. I mean, right? Robert doesn't have to go to John and go, please, boss, please, boss, please, boss. If Robert does a good job, he has got. Why would you leave that? Such a machine that they have over there, from manufacturing all their stuff to doing their chassis to do it. That's just ridiculous. And anyway,
never been a thing. It's funny though, because we were talking about rumors a couple of months ago, right? Like why, because some of them are just ridiculous, and that one is just not.
Yeah, what's next? Doug Coletta's going to DSR.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows, right? All right. The height thing probably had a lot to do with the family issue. I don't even know what that means. Say like, that's the thing. It's like everybody wants to be, we got so many insiders in our sport. Like everybody wants to be an insider, whereas like, just let it go, man. Just watch. Anyway, Robert, go ahead.
I think when I become czar, and I've got a plan, when I become czar, this is going to be one of the rules. Okay. All of these, I got an inside source, but I can't tell you who it is. All right. If you come up with, I got an inside source that says, Robert Hight's leaving JFR and he's going to start his own team. And I tell you, I spoke to Robert Hight and he says that's crap.
Yeah.
If it turns out that Robert leaves and forms his own team, if 2022 Robert Hight Racing is a thing and he leaves John Force, then you know what? Your source is better than mine. And I'm all about keeping a source confidential if you have a confidential source. In 2022, when Robert Hight comes back and is racing for John Force, and it is proven that your rumor was crap, you now have to identify your source, because either you're a liar or he's a liar.
I thought you were going to say we cut off a finger.
No, identify your source. Tell me who lied, because somebody did.
Yeah.
And, well, but I heard that. And I love when, chit-chatting with people on the internet and stuff. It's like, well, I heard this about Joe Castello.
Yeah.
Joe, is this true? No. Just talk to Joe. He says it's not true. Well, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I got a good source.
But that's a problem in our greater culture, which, we never talk about. People are saying, one person said, like I could say to you, and then you could say people are saying, and then it's a legit thing. Things are thrown out into the ether all the time that aren't even remotely true through, I read somewhere. Where'd you read? On Twitter. Oh yeah. Some guy just making it up. You can find anything about anything. The earth is flat. I read the earth is flat, Alan. I read it. People are saying, Alan, that the earth is flat right now. There's a big conversation about it, Alan. And that is actually true, but it doesn't make it legit. And that's why right now our media culture, I kind of like study it as an amateur, but the world right now, like you can say anything and people will believe it because someone is saying it. It's true. they're talking about it. People reported. Yeah, they did. But is it even remotely true? No. People are reporting that Robert Hight is in a rumor of starting his own team, except it's not true. Not even remote.
I like starting rumors, not spreading them.
Yes. Right. Well, it's much more fun.
When I was going to drive Jim Head's funny car, that was hilarious. And, I went and told Jim, I said, hey, just so you know, I'm starting this rumor. I said, don't out me. And he said, okay, what do I care? And then this might've been before your time.
Yes,
but
it was.
Ron Capps made a run and the car darted over at the finish line and hit the finish line blocks. So at the top end of the racetrack, I said, okay, Capps, look, here's the deal. Here's the question. Here's the answer. And he said, okay. So, hey, let's go down to Allen. Yeah, I'm at the top end with Ron Capps. Ron, that thing looked like I got away from you down there. And he said, sometimes these things, he goes, after you've made a couple of runs, you'll understand. But these things sometimes go. And everybody went, what? And then it was, I heard he's going to drive Jim Head's funny car. And just nobody said no. It was hilarious. And
it sounds hilarious. And you're recruiting poor Capps, who will be on WFO tomorrow, folks, at 12 noon. We want everybody to be there tomorrow at 12 noon. All right, before we get into funny car, let's
back up. Put that up.
Yep.
Where does it say 2-time on there?
It doesn't say that.
Come on, man.
It doesn't have a big 2X. Oh my gosh. Alan is flogging Steve the Art guy publicly on the air. You could have sent a behind the scenes message.
Just won your second funny car championship. Wouldn't you somewhere on there want it to be 2X?
I'm looking. I'm searching. I think the revision, poor Steve is upset right now, and he is opening up his art files. He's opening up his art files. But yes, to be correct, the number. Oh, look, Capps has got 2 fingers up, Alan. There it is. It's represented by Capps holding up 2 fingers.
That's a peace sign.
Oh, okay. His Capps is saying peace. But yes, Steve will be creating the revision very soon. Thank you. Before we get into that, though, I just want to, we touch on this in the audio only podcast from earlier in the week. The Supra. I was kind of blown away at how similar it looks to its counterpart. There was not a photograph available that I could steal. This was the one from the press release that included both of them. Mark Robillis did a photo shoot, but I believe that was only for Toyota. So I wanted to respect them and use what they sent me in the press release. But look at that thing, man. That is spectacular. It looks just like, it's funny. The Supra actually looked like it was built to be a funny car.
And what I'm sure is going on now in every other funny car shop is everybody's going, oh, look at that thing. They just threw the rule book out the window. I can't believe that they let Toyota do this. And, they just write their own, because that's what happens every time a new funny car comes out, no matter whose it is.
Yes.
When the new Dodge came out, the Chevrolet guys, the Toyota guys, the Ford guys are all going, what? Seriously? They don't have to follow the rule? They allowed it? And then the new Mustang came out. It's, oh, well, look at this. And then the new Camaro came out. And then just another in the long line of, it's not fair. Those guys have an advantage over us. And it's been part of funny car racing since Bernstein's Batmobile, I think.
So what's the oldest funny car now, though? Like the oldest body is what? The Camaro?
Probably the Mustang.
I don't know. Didn't Tasca just get new ones last year? I mean, kind of similar, but a lighter, better, updated Mustang. I remember Wilk saying he didn't have them, and he finally got some. And so I think the Mustang is pretty new too. So my theory is that there is no funny car body that is older than 4 years old.
That sounds right.
Yeah, approximately. Maybe it's 5, but they're all new. Everybody, the Toyota was by far the oldest body out there, and now they got a brand new body, and Alexis is going to have it, and JR is going to have it, and eventually more people will have it. I think it's slick, and go Toyota for supporting drag racing. And everybody who said that drag racing was dead and no one would invest and it's over, obviously they were wrong.
I read it on the internet.
Well, exactly. Cap's 2-time funny car champion, says Mark. Steve's getting called out. Yeah, everybody is responding to your
I never said attack. A word about Steve. I was blaming you.
Yeah, but I know who makes the art.
And then
I don't make the art.
And then you threw Steve under the bus.
Do you want me to start doing the art for the show? I think not. It will look like this.
Right. But no, my thought would have been more that you'd go, you know what? That was an oversight. We'll have to do a revision, not go, oh, well, it was him. Steve.
No, I blame Steve. Steve attacks me all the time. He deserves a shot, especially when Reinhardt's doing it. But hey, look, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Mark Robertson says that's one ugly, funny car. He doesn't like it. I don't know, Mark. I think you're mistaken there, man. I don't think it's an ugly, funny car. I think it's a good-looking, funny car, especially when compared to the street counterpart, which it looks almost
people all the time.
Well, exactly. No, you can't. Walt says he's a one-time 2021 champ. That's true. How about Caps becoming a free agent? All kinds of rumors out there. Mustang is the oldest, says Daniel Wilkerson. Okay, interesting. Okay. I thought they had an update, Daniel. I don't know. We'll have to see. I remember speaking with the late great Eric Lane about it.
I know that Bob had some new ones built, but I don't believe it was a redesign. I think it was just a different manufacturer. I don't believe it was like a new mold, a new design. I don't know that for a fact, but I don't believe that.
I remember lighter weight, but I get it. We'll see. I guess the Mustangs aren't Tascas or Tim's. It looks like Elon Musk designed it. Hey, let's not go crazy out there. You know, that Elon Musk truck. But then again, this guy's worth $1 trillion or something. So maybe we shouldn't knock him. Anyway, Jim Campbell gets around Robert Hight in the first round. Just terrible, way to go out for Robert, but it is what it is. Great for Jim Campbell, and they finished in the top 10, which is the first time that Jim Dunn has finished in the top 10 in a long time. That was also helped, we'd have to say, by Blake Alexander and Jim Head Racing not running the final couple races because of the tragedy that they experienced with their truck driver, Dylan Cromwell, who you did such a great job of memorializing out there in Vegas, and just a very sad conclusion to the season that way. But Jim Campbell did get the 10th spot. J.R. Todd gets knocked out first round. Bob Tasca goes on to win the race, going through Campbell, John Force, and Alexis. Got a shout out to Alexis, Dell, and Nikki. My goodness. The championship battle, though, came down to a round 2 matchup between Caps and Hagan. Caps has an 0.43 reaction time, but then kind of slipped off towards the wall and had to lift off the throttle. Hagan got around him, but it was Alexis who knocked out Hagan and won the championship for Caps. And I talked to Dell about it. He goes, I've been there. I know it. And they got the job done for their friends, obviously. Got the job done for Caps, and Caps is now a 2-time champ. And someone asked him in the media center, Alan, I want your opinion, his legacy. There's no doubt that winning 2 championships in anything is much different than winning 1 championship. But it wasn't that long ago we were saying about Caps that Caps is cemented as an all-time great no matter what happens. But now he has 2.
Well, I believe Ron is the second winningest funny car driver in NHRA history.
Yes.
The fact that he's, 75 wins behind the guy who's the winningest driver, so what? I think Cap's legacy, if he were to retire today, I think Cap's legacy would be 26 years or 7 years as a fully sponsored, hired driver. And that's pretty impressive because, you look at the guys that have been out there forever, John, obviously team owner, but you look at the guys that, and Ron has been, worked for a couple of different teams, but always been a fully sponsored hired driver. And in this day and age, that is unheard of, especially for that kind of longevity. And the reason is very deserved. It's because he works it. He doesn't show up and drive the car. He does personal appearances. He does whatever needs to be done. He does corporate events. He does fundraisers. He'll go play golf with the CEO. Whatever needs to is part of his job. And, he is one of the probably few guys that travels more than you and I do, simply because race is over. We got a week off. What are we doing? Well, we're going to go home. What's Ron doing? Well, he's going to do an appearance in Seattle, and then he's got a corporate thing in Minneapolis, and he's going to go down to Florida for a day, and then he's going to go back home and change suitcases, and then he's going to go to the next race. But the number of times when I've seen Ron in the airport, and it's like, man, I'm really looking forward to heading home for a day. And he's like, yeah, I'm on my way to New York, because he does so much when he's not in the car working for the corporate partners. And I think that should be a big part of his legacy. Obviously, on track success, that speaks for itself. But whatever it's been now, and it's 25, 28 years that he has been a fully sponsored hired driver is really, really impressive stuff. And, and he don't bring the money with him. You know what I'm saying? There's a few guys out there that, it's like, well, I've got my backers that follow me wherever I go, and God bless them. But Ron is a guy that companies will hire because he's Ron. And the fact that he drives a funny car is a bonus. And I think that I would think that would be his biggest part of the legacy.
Well, so I can't certify this because I didn't see it myself, but I trust Derek Green, who is one of our WFO radio listeners. And in fact, Derek is this guy who Alex Laughlin is pointing at right there, just so we know. Derek says, and this could be a ruse, but, Caps was on the show last week, and he teased a big announcement that was coming at PRI, okay? And there have been a lot of rumblings and discussion. And now Derek says that Cap said on Wes Buck's show last night that he informed Don and Indy that he was going to be a quote-unquote free agent and all but announced forming his own team. A lot of new things are happening since Sunday. We're going to have Caps on the show at 12 noon Eastern time tomorrow, okay? So we're going to put him through the ringer, and we're going to ask him. But also, see, here's the deal. Alan, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Let's assume all that's true, right? Caps has a plan to roll out his information and maximize all of these things. Is it the right thing for us to do as friends of Caps to undermine that and start asking him stuff before he's ready to announce what he's ready to announce? Now, obviously, when Wes does it, that's Wes's deal, and Wes announced him, and now there's news. And so I have to ask Caps about the news that has been leaked out on the show tomorrow at noon. But there's a reason why I like to let people go through their process and not try to corner them and out them for their news. But apparently it's out now. And so some of it, I mean, according to Derek, unless he's totally making up stuff, and since we know where Derek lives because he's a Patreon and we have his address, we could definitely make him pay for that kind of thing. But I think that I can also just go watch Wes's show right now and confirm it. Maybe there is a new journey that is about to start for Ron Caps. And if there is, man, what I think I'm super excited for whatever lies ahead for Ron, because what you just described, that's exactly what you have to do if you're going to be successful.
Well, I didn't catch Wes Buck's show. I maybe go back and give it a listen. But Ron was on Dave Moody's show on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio the other day. And Dave asked him, kind of generically about future plans. And I think, for being in your role, I think you have to ask. And if he says, hey, I'm not ready to talk about that yet, or I've got some stuff, then fine. But I think you need to ask. But he said point blank that ownership was in his future. He didn't say tomorrow or next year, but he did say ownership was part of his future plan. And so it means it's coming this year. It means it's coming this year. And the other thing, the real tiptoeing thing that, you and I have to deal with, and I hope people understand, we hear a lot of things. We get to be a part of a lot of conversations. There's a lot of stuff that comes up that isn't news that we're privy to. And I personally feel if I'm talking to Tony Stewart, just to pick a name, and he says, yeah, I'm, looking at this, I'm working on this, I'm doing this, and maybe, ask me what I think, or ask me, because I've been in drag racing a lot longer than he has. I now have information that's not public, but it's not my information to spill. And if I came on your show, or if I went on the internet and said, okay, here's the latest from, then what's going to happen is, in the time it takes for that to bounce off a satellite and go wherever the hell it goes, I'm out of the loop. And not just with Tony, but nobody else would ever trust me either, because they would know I would spill their secrets. And it's difficult. I had I said something on the Sunday broadcast, on the PA at Pomona, and I got like an almost instant text message from one of the team guys that said, that's not official news yet. And I texted back and said, it's on the TV show. And so it's like, okay, we weren't ready to release that. I'm going, but I'm not the one who spilled the beans. You know what I mean? So that's a really tough thing to do, because again, if you betray one person's secret, it's not just that guy that won't talk to you. Everybody won't talk to you.
Right.
And, having access is such an important part of the job. The number of times when I've walked into somebody's trailer and I go, tell me what happened. Tell me what to do. I'm not here to make a news. I'm here to learn, because when I see this in the future, when I say, I want to be sure that I know what I'm talking about. And people will be open with me, even if the real story is, well, Joe forgot to put oil in the thing. Well, I'm certainly not going to go up there next round and go, yeah, see, Joe, that guy, right? Yeah, he's the one that forgot to put oil in the car.
Right.
That's not what I'm at. But
it's a different,
because people know they can tell me things, and I will use the information for myself without disseminating it, people will still tell me things. And that's, if it ever got to the point where I couldn't walk into the trailers, or people wouldn't respond when I send them a text message and ask them something, I couldn't do my job anywhere nearly as well as I do now. Some people would tell you I don't do it very well now, but
no, it's true. They say that. Just kidding. Just kidding. But hey, no, that's the deal. But here's the most important factor, everybody. Ron Capps is on the show 12 noon tomorrow, and he's been making the rounds, and we're going to have a Friday with Ron Capps, and all of these things, as much as he can share, will be discussed. And I can also tell you, like, there's a lot going on. This is a business. It's not just all fun, right? So imagine there's a negotiation going on, and leverage in a negotiation is very interesting, the way it all works. And so we'll get what we can get from Ron Capps tomorrow without putting him in a situation that's going to be damaging to himself. And then when the time is right, he will tell us. And that's the thing about WFO. Like, I think we have earned over the time that we've been on, over 10 years, that you will get the real hardcore inside version of the story when the time is right. That will not be detrimental to anybody. And we're going to get part one, I guess, from Ron Capps tomorrow. But in the meantime, though, the guy won his second championship and is going to go down in history. And he beat Matt Hagan by 37 points. Tasca by 90. Tasca with a great start, finishes third. Great year for Tasca. Cruz Pedregon, 121 back and forth. John Force, fifth. What a great season for this, what's it? Septenarian when you're in 70s? That's just a guess. Yeah. Alexis, sixth. J.R. Todd, seventh. Robert Height, eighth. Tim Wilkerson, ninth. Jim Campbell rounding out the top 10. A great year. Paul Lee supposedly going to run all year next year. There's a lot of rumblings. We want to try to get Bobby Bodie out there as much more. Chad Green going to run more races, maybe all races, but definitely more races right now. Plus the Tony Gerardos and the Jason Ruperts and the Justin Schriefers and those guys. Like, wow, what a year of funny car racing that we had. It's only going to get better next year.
I agree. And, I'm doing my best to help Paul. I just ordered a clutch and bell housing and flywheel and hydraulics. And so I'm doing my best to keep Paul out there. But no, when you run down, I'm just thinking about the end of the season, as much as most people, by the time we get to, Vegas and Pomona, are going, okay, it's time for a break, right? We need to. How much do you think Alexis would like to have 3 more races?
Right now. To the lanes. Right now, to the lanes. She is running so good. The driving, everything. And Nikki and Dell, great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the car's good. They got good momentum. They have said throughout, when they came back in 2020, and then obviously, 2020, but they made no bones about it. We're not here to win the championship right now. We know that. we are building, we are learning, we have the steps that we're going to take to put ourselves in a position where we can contend for race wins and championships. And I think that they have solidly and steadily progressed and gotten better and gotten stronger. And, you're going to have a toe stub every once in a while, but you look at the last 4 or 5 races of the season, and that car was as good as anyone out there. I mean, they were absolutely, whereas, early in the year, they were a mid-pack car, a semifinal car, they were good, not great. But the last 5 or 6 was as good as any car on the racetrack and could run with and in front of any car on the racetrack. And they proved that a number of times. So I think you give 3 more races and Alexis probably is in the top 2 or 3 just because of the way the car was running at the end of the season. But that's a team that certainly is going to be ready to go next year. And I do not believe that new Toyota body is going to slow them down at all.
No, there might be a little weight balance learning curve issues, but those Toyota guys, like Slugger is a genius. He's one of those guys, like everything on that car, it's there's things for a reason. I do have great regret though. Speaking of Alexis, John Paul was out there and having a good time, and I never got my Danny Trejo interview in. So sad.
Joe missed out on a celebrity.
I did. And that's the one that I wanted too. As much as Haley and all those others were big stars, Mark Webber, big stars, Danny Trejo, this guy is like the ultimate character actor. If there's like a gang member or a scary dude you call Danny. And what's funny is every time he came up, he had like more gear on. Like first it was just him in a wife beater or, Guinea tea. None of those things are appropriate. What is the name of that thing? Undershirt tank top. Anyway,
tank top.
Then he had the crew shirt. Then he had a mask. Then he had a hat. Like every time he's coming up, it was like he's trying to be incognito out there. And so I just decided, let him go. Whatever, Danny, come out next time. But I was bummed, man. I wanted to get my Danny Trejo interview and it didn't work out.
There will be another opportunity, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, let's move over to Pro Stock, where Greg Anderson posted the video yesterday. I played it on the show when I did a little hangout with the listeners of me and Brian submarining this guy on an American Airlines flight. And everybody burst into applause. And the thing has been retweeted many times. Hopefully everybody will put it out there. It's been viewed close to 7,000 times, which is really great for drag racing stuff. But Brian and I were chatting about it, and I kind of thought, like, boy, we ran some sort of like corny op on a flight. That probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. Brian comes back to me. We had planned it. And then he's like, go get in position. I was like, okay. And I go get in position and I got my camera and he gets on like attention. And he says, everybody looked up with like, who's that? What is that? And then, there was a moment of nervousness, and fortunately the flight attendant, calmed things down and applause everybody. And it was good. But who gets to run an op like that on a flight in 2021? Nobody, but everybody loved it. And I just think about all the stuff, like the mental strength it takes to go up there. And even if you're Greg Anderson, no mistakes, race the car. You've got a great car, and to perform at the highest level, both he and Erica, for the championship under this microscope with some animus out there. Maybe they weren't angry at each other necessarily, but there was irritation and anger and emotion floating around through the category through the whole weekend. And he delivered under the most intense pressure we can possibly create in this sport.
He had the best car all year long, and he certainly had the best car at the finals. And I think that, if I'm driving it, it puts more pressure on, because the only person that can mess this up, me. So, to go out there and, guys have said so many times, treat it like another qualifying run. You can't go up there. You cannot go up there thinking, this is it. Don't make a mistake. Don't screw up. You have to go up there thinking, just do my job. Just let the clutch out, pull the shifter. Just another run, because you've won 98 races and 4 championships. By doing that, why in the world would you do something different now? Just do what you've been so successful doing. You have the best car. Go drive it like every other time you drove it. and it worked out for him. And, it was fun to watch because they're both on the same side of the ladder, and that let Erica control her own destiny also. If Erica had won the race, Erica would have won the championship. Doesn't matter what Greg did. If Greg won the race, Greg was going to win the championship. Doesn't matter what Erica does. I love that. I think that is so much better than when, if they're on opposite sides of the ladder, it's like, okay, the earliest they could face each other is in the final round, and the championship's already over. So that, from where I sit, isn't any fun. From the fans, I don't think it's nearly as exciting as knowing my driver, whichever one you're rooting for, my driver can win this all by themselves, don't need help. They just need to win. And, it was the same thing with the funny cars. Because they ended up on the same side of the ladder, they both had their destiny in their own hands. And that makes it a much better day. Those two are going to continue to battle for a few more years at least. I don't know how much longer Greg's going to want to drive the thing, but it's going to continue. And if Greg decides to step away, I don't believe that KB Racing is going to disappear. They've built such an infrastructure there for building horsepower, for doing the racing, for that somebody else would be the one putting the helmet on. But I don't believe that the KB and Elite rivalry is going to go away anytime soon. And it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was tremendous. And looking at the way it all worked out, Greg is number one qualifier, getting through Mike Callahan, Derek Kramer, Erica. Got to give credit to Erica for driving through the tire shake that everybody else was kind of like blowing the window out. And she gutted the car through some pretty severe tire shake just because like that's what you have to do in that moment. Ran 670 to keep the pressure on, right? Like if Greg has some sort of problem, she could get around him. And then Greg gets to the final round. Kyle Koretsky gets around Dallas Glenn, who had that tire shake problem over there. And then in the final, Greg has a whole shot victory over Kid Chaos when the pressure was off, right? Like, it's like, oh, all right. Goes out there and Kid Chaos gets down the right lane quicker than anybody else did all weekend long and comes up short. Just an amazing pro stock race. We were talking pro stock for a large portion of the year and in the finals. And that's great news for fans of pro stock like we are.
I just thought it was really funny that there were 7 pro stock sessions over the course of the weekend, from qualifying number 1 to final round. Greg had low ET of 6 of them by pro stock standards, by a fairly comfortable margin. And then the only time he didn't have low ET was the final round, and he won it on a hole shot. It's like, come on. Right. But, good car. And they're going to go back to work now and, start.
Absolutely. Oh, we losing Reinhardt? We've been going for an hour and 12 minutes. We might lose him. Let's see what happens. And while we are talking about this, he's frozen. Look at him. Look at Alan Reinhardt frozen. Oh, I hear something moving there. He's back. See, that's what patience. You were frozen for a second, Alan, but now you're back.
Oh, so my screen went black. So anyway, they're all going to go back to work. I'm sure they're going to be testing before the end of the year somewhere and getting to work on 2022 because, obviously Erica doesn't like the way it ended up. And so their whole team is going to go to work trying to make their cars better because they know as well as everybody else that Greg had a better car than they did. And Greg, going to go to work, try to make sure that his car stays better than everybody else's out there. So, the winter break is not vacation. It's going to be busy.
There you go. And just a tip of the cap to Dallas Glenn. I saw a stats report go out. Best reaction time average in the class, 0.21. That's why he won Rookie of the Year, because not only did he make 6 finals and win 3 races and factor into the championship at Vegas, but the guy is obvious ace on the starting line. I hear through the grapevine his shift points are right on the money. He's an extremely talented young racer, and the future is bright for pro stock because there's a pipeline and they're coming in and they want to come in, and good things happening because Kyle Koretsky has obviously shown he's great. Mason McGahey, he's got talent and speed. If he keeps running his dad, whooping his dad. Pro stock, just so exciting. And now with factory experimental out there, it makes you very curious what this thing's going to look like 5 years from now.
Time will tell. But yeah, for pro stock, which was looking a little sad whatever it's been now, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And I think so much of the credit goes to the guys at Elite and the guys at KB, Frank Iacone that's doing his stuff and Southwest Performance down in Texas, that you could lease race winning horsepower. And that's always been the big issue in pro stock, is that if you wanted to win, you had to have your own engine development. You had to have your own stuff. And that was the only way you could keep up. Warren for so many years had so much success because he did things that other people hadn't figured out yet, and he kept him in front. Bob Glidden back in the day did things, but you look at when Ron Krischer was having a very successful run in pro stock. Why? Because he bought an engine shop, because he hired guys, because he spent a lot of money to go out and make horsepower. When Mike Edwards won his championship, why? Because they were doing their own engines. They were doing it in-house. They had come up with something to keep them faster than everybody else. And for the number of people that wanted to race pro stock, but simply either couldn't make the time or the financial commitment to do a complete engine shop just for your hobby.
Right.
They were kind of left with, okay, well, you're going to qualify 8 to 16, and maybe, on your luckiest day, you might make it to the semifinals, but you're never really going to be in contention for race wins on a regular basis, and you're never going to really be in contention for a championship. So the fact that now Joe and Alan Racing could pick up the phone, call KB or call Richard Freeman and say, hey, we're going to be in Topeka. We've got a car. I need to lease an engine. And what do we got to do here? And we will have enough horsepower that if we get the rest of it right, we've got a legitimate shot at having a good day at the racetrack, even if we just go out once or twice a year. And that was never, ever the case in pro stock before. And now it has shown that there's enough people out there that had the desire, but either didn't have the financial wherewithal or just couldn't invest to go out there and do it themselves, that want to come out and run, whether it's on a full-time or on a part-time basis. Roger Brogdon would have never come back to pro stock if he knew he was going to lease motors that were down 50 horsepower and
right.
Qualify 14th to get his tail kicked every round, every Sunday on first round. The reason he came back is because he knows he can get good enough equipment to go out there and be a factor. And that's what keeps him coming back, even though it is on a part-time basis.
Final points in pro stock: Greg Anderson by 107 over Erica, 177 over Dallas, who was third, Kyle Koretsky fourth, Aaron Stanfield fifth, Troy Coughlin sixth. Like right there, Dallas, Kyle, Aaron, Troy, Mason seventh. Like right in the middle, you've got 5 young superstar potential drivers there. Chris McGahey 8th, Matt Hartford 9th, and Derek Kramer rounding out the top 10. Just on the outside, Kenny Delco. But then you got the Quadras, who are going to be doing something. Alan Przinsky, tip of the cap to that guy for just, he's finding power with the Dodge. He's finding it. And he's explaining to me, the Dodge engine is a little heavier and weight and everything, but he is just beating his head into the wall and getting some results for the Dodge fans out there. Great year of pro stock, but I expect even better next year. Camry Caruso coming in. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Maybe someday Tanner Gray decides, man, I want to go back to pro stock. Good things happening in pro stock. Great stuff. Now, Alan, I sense that the internet gods are going to force you to go, whether you like it or not, sometime soon. So we'll pick up the pace a little bit more and talk about Matt Smith winning the race and winning the championship, but doing the last 2 rounds on a hole shot. Wait, on the second to last round wasn't a hole shot, but the final round was a hole shot, and he beat Angel on a hole shot. 2 critical rounds against the lady racers, Angel and Karen, huge hole shots to make him the champion, to win the race, the Auto Club Finals, and he cut his hair. Great news.
Oh, he did finally cut his hair. Okay.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, everybody had been kind of teasing him about it. And to my knowledge, he hadn't said anything publicly about it, but he was actually doing it for a reason, right?
Yes, that just goes to show you the kind of guy he is, goofing about, like growing the hair and everything. And there was actually an altruistic reason. He was doing something good for people, and he didn't even mention it until it was over.
And for those who don't, he was donating it to an outfit called Locks of Love, which makes wigs for like cancer patients, people that are going through treatments, people that are having that, so that, they can be a little bit more comfortable, when they go out and but I thought, that I really thought that was cool. But as far as the race goes, same thing. Angel had her destiny in her own hands. Win the race. That's it. Win the race. You will be the champion. Matt had his destiny in his own hands. Steve still, if Steve still had his destiny, even after the point penalty, because of the 1.5 points, he could have won the championship. And it comes down to when the pressure's on, you got to be able to perform. And Matt did. And it's as simple as that. He's been there so many times. I don't think that he gets nervous anymore. I don't think he gets rattled anymore. I don't think, you could do anything to really bug the guy. And, when it came right down to it, he did the job and the others didn't. And I just think, in another thing that, and we talked about a little bit the other day, Matt didn't make bad runs. I mean, I'd love to know, and I guess I could go look it up, but his percentage, whether it was qualifying or whether it was race day, of making a good, solid run down the racetrack versus the others. Angel at times struggled a little bit, with the bike moving one way or the other or doing different things. And, but her percentage of good, clean runs down the racetrack, I don't believe was as high as Matt's. Even Andrew had a lot of aborted runs when you look at what he's done in the past. But Matt won the championship because he had a very consistent motorcycle. He didn't make mistakes. And when the pressure was on, he responded to the pressure. And it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. And he did a great job. And they both got an opportunity at him. And if they had an equal reaction time to him, an 11 in the final, maybe you don't have to be equal, but he's a racer. I think about the Michael Jordan documentary, and I think about, being aggressive, right? Like, I feel like Matt Smith is the kind of racer that when he comes to the starting line with the championship on the line, and it's you or it's him, like, he's coming at your throat, right? He's coming at you, and you have to hold up to that. And I'm not saying anything negative about anyone, but the weight of the moment is something to manage, right? And Matt Smith got aggressive and came at him, as opposed to trying to not make a mistake or trying to, do the right thing in the moment. He got aggressive. And look who's out there, by the way. Yeah, the loyal listeners, Matt and Angie Smith, 7 runs from 677 to 681. Thank you, Matt and Angie. I don't know if that's Matt or Angie, but thank you guys. And thank you, Angie. The great caper, poor Evan Jonak getting drenched in champagne, which we do have that video, by the way, and it will get played on WFO radio during the off season. So you got to stick around, and we got to book Matt for the show at some point. So please let me know when you are available. But the guy is aggressive. He's coming at you. He's not going to just go up there and do his own thing. No, he's going to press you and apply the pressure and go out there and lean on you. And it's what he did. And we kind of knew it. Great entertainment.
The interesting thing when you got into the second round against Angel is Angel's bike really hadn't run numbers like she ran all weekend long. If you're Matt, at least me, I'm sitting out there. I'm not thinking, okay, she's going to run a 70 something. I really need to. I'm thinking I'm in good shape here. I just still need to keep working my program. And, Angie, thanks for the note about the finals, but I was really talking about all year. The number of times that Matt aborted a run during the year is minuscule. And he just had a very, very fast bike and a very consistent program. And, you just go up there and it's like, this is what I can do. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah, the 011 in the final, at that point, we all knew how fast Karen's bike was, right? She showed us that on Saturday night when she tipped the ladder upside down for everybody else in the deal. So at that point, if he's going up there going, okay, this is what I'm going to have to do to win the race, that's one thing. But against Angel, he just needed to go up and it's like, I need to make another good, clean run down the racetrack. And he did. I don't believe, I'm not sure that Matt knows what pressure is because he's just going to go up there. I'm going to go up. I'm going to make a run. And if somebody beats me, somebody beats me. But I'm not going to make it easy on him. I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm going to go up and do my thing. And it's worked very well.
Well, and that's why I make the Jordan analogy, like situations where others might shy away from, they go right at it. They go right at it. They know that the people around them are maybe feeling there's an energy out there that could be detrimental. It's an advantage for them. I'm coming for you. I'm coming now. And he does it. Congratulations to Matt. Final point standings in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Matt Smith is the champ for a 5th times. So, Steve, when you do the artwork, you got to do 5 times, says Alan. Angel second, 131. No shame. No, look here, Alan. Look, he went and fixed it for you immediately.
That's beautiful.
Yes, he fixed it immediately because you took him to task on the show. That's why Steve Brenwald of Brenwald Media is a great guy and so helpful to our show. He fixed it right on the spot and went right back
Steve,
at it. So,
Steve, next time you're in Tucson, come by. I got really cold beer right there. So
there it
next
is.
time you're in Southern Arizona, come by and have a beer.
There it is. Have a beer in Southern Arizona. The rest of the points, Steve Johnson third. No shame in that. Eddie Krawick fourth. Karen Stilfer fifth. Great year. If she stays on that bike running those numbers next year, watch out. Scotty Polachek, we're saying goodbye to Scotty. What I hope is temporarily. Somebody came up to me and said, no, that's it forever. And I know you said temporarily. I'd like to believe temporarily too. They're going to build a house. They got some things they're doing. Matt Smith getting together with Scrappers Racing kind of leaves those guys as the odd man out, but they're drag racers. I really believe Scotty and Susie will be back at some point. Joey Gladstone, Angie was 7th, Joey 8th, Andrew Hines 9th, and Flying Ryan Ayler 10th. And of course, Corey Reed out there who made the countdown just on the outside with 11th after his incident out there. But a great year. Pro Stock Motorcycle. Wow. Like so wide open. And George Bryce said the golden era is right now. Pro Stock Motorcycle.
I agree. And, the Vance and Hines guys are going to go back to work and try to get better, especially with Andrew's bike. He just was never comfortable on that thing from the first time I saw him on the racetrack until the last time he went down in Pomona. So they'll get that squared away. Obviously, they'll be working on that program to get the 2 V twins up to speed. With Matt now going to take on a Suzuki project, I think that'll be very interesting to see. He's always been good at building horsepower, and he's been in a situation where, aside from the bikes that come out of his trailer, he's been able to get secrets and keep secrets, and that's been able to keep him at the front of the performance field. So, when he starts dabbling around with the Suzukis, I think it'll be very interesting to see what he can come up with there, what he can find, how much crossover that, things that maybe he's learned on the V-twin that will cross over to the 4-cylinder. Some certainly will, and some certainly won't. But that's going to be interesting to watch. Ryan Ayler, I guarantee you those guys probably couldn't get back to the shop soon enough because they started the season really strong, had the win in Vegas early in the year, were certainly contenders, and then just kind of fell off a cliff about halfway through the season. And so they certainly are going to go back, field strip everything, and I would guess start from where did we lose it, right? We had it here. Where did we lose it? How do we get back to there? And so I expect them to pick up performance as well. It'll be good to see Corey if he's back on the bike when we get to Gainesville next year. Just a lot going on out there right now. And I agree with George Price. The days when you would go to the races and John Myers and Dave Schultz would race in the final, and if they didn't, that was a surprise, wasn't nearly as compelling as now when you go to the races and you don't even know who's going to be in the second round because the competition is so much stronger. And I think it's better for the fans. It's certainly better for me. And more things to talk about, more stories, and it's a good time to be a fan right now. There's just a lot of really positive stuff going on.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of really positive stuff going on into the off season, winter break. Flying Ryan and I are going to match race down there at Showtime Drag Strip in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater area on Wednesday, the 29th of December, between Christmas and New Year's. Everybody around there, we're going to have a big match race. His Tampa race rental Mustangs. He is inviting me to be the media guy. It's Joe versus Pro, me versus Ryan. He knows the cars. He knows the track. I'm going to go out there and give it the old college try and try to, put on a race for the fans out there. But it's going to be very interesting. Fun time.
Tell me about the Mustangs.
Late model Mustangs. One is red, one is black.
Is yours red?
I don't know which one I'm going to get yet. I think I should get the choice, right? As the person who gets the invite to come in there, I should get the choice.
Tell them you want the red car.
Yeah.
And then borrow Kevin McKenna's.
That's great. What an ingenious idea. That is an ingenious idea. We'll do the car swap. We'll get some stickers made. We'll put them on K-Mac's car. It's almost, the K-Max is a couple years older. So I think Flying Ryan will notice. But yes.
I was going to say, if you get to, if you had a green one, you could, but everybody would notice that. So
yes, that's a good joke though. and maybe we'll have to work it into the show, right? Like we slip out a sneak version of it that runs 10 O's. But Kevin McKinnon is not going to let me drive his car. That's the problem, right? Just like you.
In that situation, I would think you might be able to convince him.
All right. Well, we'll see. Maybe K-Mac is watching as we speak. Alan, great job as usual. Now, WFO goes into the off season, so we'll continue some conversations here. Next week, Thanksgiving week, of course, will be on Tuesday if you're available. And we'll keep going as long as we can go into the holidays. And then you're going to PRI, as am I. Lots to talk about.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, there's, just keep tuning in and keep clicking around because there's going to be news coming on a pretty regular basis from now until we are headed back to Pomona in just, 97 days from now, I think?
Yes. No, it's going to be, somebody was saying 89 days the other day. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. We got time. Yeah. The elite guys were like 89 days. I was like, oh my gosh, she's putting stress on me. All right, Alan, great job. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right, Joe, we will see you next Tuesday.
All right. There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, with us here on WFO Radio. When is the race? It is December 29th. In Tampa area, Showtime Dragway. It's an 8th-mile track. He's got his Tampa Race Rentals thing. He has challenged me. It is Joe versus Pro, the pilot of our new YouTube series, 1 episode. And we're going to get together. And it's all the talk. Everybody's talking about it, right? It's a Wednesday. And they've got an interesting 32-car shootout deal as well. Whereas these 2 cars that he owns, he is allowing more people to get in on a 32-car shootout that costs $100 entry, and somebody's going to win $3,200 or some breakdown thereof. But a fun race, which I might get in on that as well, or I might as well just be the celebrity that is their celebrity. Isn't that funny? But anyway, yeah, come down, man. Everybody's talking about coming down. I was talking to Jason Logan the other day, trying to get him over there. It's going to be interesting. Denise saying likewise, and hire Alan to announce Joe versus Pro. Let's see. I was talking to Dixon in Dallas. He was so focused trying to get a picture and autograph. Steve forgot it's 2-seater plans. Yeah, there's their own conversation happening over there in the comment section, which is totally fine. Terry Ross, roll up in Tasca's Mustang funny car. No, Ryan is supplying the cars. I'm going to go in there. I would like to do a Warren Johnson and figure out how to reprogram it in a couple of minutes while I'm sitting there behind the seat. But I actually think those guys have probably done that already, right? They're maxed. These are customer cars. They use them for the entertainment of their clients. The whole thing is to bring attention to the concept that regular people like you guys can go down there for like fun parties, bachelor parties, and race these Mustangs and beat on them and have fun on a drag strip out there in Tampa. And they've got clients. This is the grand opening. So we'll see. Keep doing it. I'll be watching, listening. Tell my friends. Yes, tell your friends. Watching as my wife is getting a new right knee. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I wish I knew who that was. Do they let you see all that? All right, let me tell you about the people who make it possible, and then we'll do a rapid fire, guys, final comments, questions and comments and thoughts. Remember, tomorrow, Ron Capps, 12 noon Eastern time. We're going to ask him, he's saying things on other shows. What about those things you're saying on other shows, Ron? What's the story? What can you say? And see what he says. But it's going to be the championship interview of all time. And Ron Capps, his second Funny Car Championship. And I have a great regret, but it is what it is. You only have so much energy. At the end of the night, they were over there at some local steakhouse. I had been invited to go over there, and I put my bag down and I spent an hour scrubbing the rubber off of my face because Pomona is the most intense track when it comes to getting covered in rubber. And I just ran out of energy, and that was it. I went to bed. I would have loved for to hang with Cousin Donnie. That would have been great. Let me tell you about the people who make WFO Radio possible, guys. First of all, the new WFO Radio store, where you can get hoodies and coffee mugs and long sleeve t-shirts and crew neck sweatshirts. The wide F and open t-shirt and the wide F and open hoodie. I see we've made a couple of sales while we are on the air. Go to WFOradio.com, go to the WFO store, or it is right here in the comment section of this show, right at the very top. You can find it. Like, come on, that's a cool looking hoodie right there. And more designs are coming, and we're even thinking about doing a listener contest to design something for the WFO store. Isn't that a fun idea, getting everybody involved? I always like to get everybody involved. We've got multiple designs WFO Live, all of that stuff. If you're looking for gifts for the WFO listener in your life. Also, big thanks to the Patreons, patreon.com. They got a 30-minute show today, special behind the scenes, and they are the advisory board. Like I started asking them some questions about the future of WFO. They do pay a little monthly spiff, whatever they choose. It's pretty much up to them. They can do a yearly membership as well, but they get stuff. It's not great. It's just okay, but they love the show enough to tolerate it. So you can become a Patreon by going to WFOradio.com. We're going to make a big push in January for 2022 Patreons. Big thanks to Torque Calibration Services of Australia, Down Under. If you're a racer, if you work on Down Under, if you require torque tools, go to torquecalibrationservices.com.au in Australia. That is Matt Clark, great guy, and WFO Patreon. We are bringing the drag racing world together with WFO Radio. Big thanks to Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Remember them when you're looking for a gift. The Dragster Adventure. You want to blow someone's mind, give them the Dragster Adventure. And then at some point in 2022, they can hook up with Frank somewhere around the country and drive dragsters. Wow. samtech.edu. frankhawley.com. samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. They've got cylinder head programs, block programs, motorsport EFI tuning, CNC programming. They do it all. They are educating the next generation. And you know that there's going to be a lot of those jobs coming in the future, whether it be things like Elon Musk just announcing that the most powerful rocket in the world, they're going to have to build 1,000 of them if they're going to build that space station and put people on the moon and Mars. Who do you think's programming that stuff? Machinists. Who's building it? Machinists, hopefully right here in the United States. So samtech.edu. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Now is the time. They have just added to their website the ability to order individual rings through the website. Go to totalseal.com, making it easier and faster for you to order. And what's been great about them is they actually have stock, totalseal.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Horsepower. I was asking our great friend Rich and Saugus the other day, like, hey, did you hear Frank Iaconio talk about the Pro Stock World Championship in 1983 on Hidden Horsepower? And he's like, no, I'm not a subscriber. I'm like, you're a super WFO fan and you haven't subscribed to Hidden Horsepower? Yeah, no, I guess I need to. Yes, you do. Guys, you're missing out on a lot. You don't have to be an engine geek to appreciate what's going on Hidden Horsepower. This is where everybody's revealing the real dirt, the real stuff on Hidden Horsepower. Totalseal.com. Subscribe. And our great friend Marvin Rodak. The coffee has not arrived from the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, guys. I've lost hope. That's an ignition show kind of thing most people don't really know about. But 817-924-6821. Gourmet coffee roasted fresh per your order. This makes a great, affordable Christmas gift. Great, affordable Christmas gift. A pound of coffee, bottle of hot sauce, container of spice rub, he'll send them to you. You send them out. Man, you'll love it. You'll love it. And the coffee is how I start my day every day. And that's what I've been motivated by this whole season. Rodax Coffee, 817-924-6821. If you want some free WFO radio stickers, I'll send them to you. Castello Media, WFO stickers, P.O. Box 848-353. Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. But you have to do all the busy work. That's what the self-addressed stamped envelope is all about. So I just open yours, find the other envelope, addressed back to you, stuff the stickers in it. You like the hand gesture so you really understand what I'm saying? Seal it up, send it out. Self-addressed stamped envelope. I recommend 2 stamps, and I'll send you some stickers and whatever else I may have sitting around. And I think I got some good stuff sitting around all of a sudden after an entire season of WFO. And a big final shout out to our friends at Nitro Fish. Randy Lynn, the Division III Stock Eliminator World Champ. Nitro Fish. We're going to be working on a WFO shirt for the truck in 2022. But amazing. Bo's going to be back. You know, we've been talking a lot about Cameron Caruso coming in, but Bo Butner going to be back. All kinds of good stuff. Exciting stuff happening in Pro Stock. Thanks to our friends at Nitro Fish and Keelan and Tamara and everybody out there in the trailer. All kinds of good stuff. All right, let's see what people have to say as we bring this thing home. Final notice, I've told you many times here on the show. Ron Capps tomorrow, 12 noon. Don't miss it. Patrons are supposed to get a free one. What is that? What is patrons supposed to get for free? They're supposed to get stuff for free. Certainly. Yeah, Troy. You didn't get your shirt? You get a crew shirt. You probably didn't put your shipping address and your t-shirt size in your profile when you signed up. Like so many haven't forcing me to have to reach out and ask. You got to sign up. A shipping address doesn't have to be your personal address. Art, there's only one good show, Joe Castello's WFO Thanks. That's not true. That's not true. I've got a lot of great friends, and I like to think that we're part of this extended drag racing ecosystem. I know there are people that take shots at me, but, it's just purely personal. When it comes to business, anybody that is pushing forth drag racing and educating fans and doing stuff, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Bill, thanks for the big discount on my order. Oh, yeah. Right now in the WFO store, it's on sale. Did I not mention that? Like for the next 12 hours, you get a t-shirt for $13. Like it's on sale right now. They do it a lot, though, to be fair. Tyler Bohannon wins the Great American Million with Jake Hodge taking third. Wow. Tebow. Tyler Bohannon shared the mic with me at the Southern Sportsman Showcase. Randy Lynn, Bo, Jason Line, Dave Connolly, they promoted a sportsman race. And Tyler and I became, buds, friends on the mic out there. When I saw that he won the race, I was thrilled and immediately want to hit him up for $100. Come on, Tyler, you got the money. Buy some WFO gear. And Jake Hodge, who is also a friend and great young racer promoter, that is not, both of them are racers and promoters, do a great job. Like that's one of the areas where I get pretty bummed out. Like for instance, this weekend, right now, as we speak, the Moroso 5-day bracket race is happening in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I had to choose. There's no internet access on the location. Okay. Like you can't go to Moroso Motorsports Park, Palm Beach International Raceway and get a tweet out. You get nothing. There's no cell service there at all. So the idea of doing WFO radio from there was not possible. I thought about it first. I wanted to go to the race. My buddy was going to race. I was going to blow off work, all of you, and go race with my friend to help him. But he pulled the ripcord on it, said, no, not going. Kid's got soccer, can't make it. And so I said, all right, we're instead going to do WFO today and tomorrow. And we're getting Reinhardt today and Ron Capps tomorrow because my friend said he's not running the 5-day. Now, it's 2:41 p.m. I guess I could get in my vehicle and drive up to the big money bracket race to watch. Not doing that. I'm going to work on WFO stuff. If I lived in the middle of the country where all these races actually had, I would love to be there to participate, to do more with them. Maybe jump on the mic. Maybe someone will be interested in that. I live in sunny South Florida, away from everything, far, far away. So it is a little sad to watch all these great things happen in the sport of bracket racing. And Troy always wants me to cover it, but it's very annoying because I love bracket racing. There's nothing going in South Florida. We barely have a track, and the one track we have is about to close. It hurts you. Move out of South Florida, no chance. So congratulations to Tyler. Maybe he'll come on WFO during the winter break. I would hope so. I think he would. Added Google Chat. Just subscribe to WFO Radio Podcast. Thank you very much, Lonnie. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Player FM. Go to WFOradio.com. There's a bunch. YouTube, WFO Radio TV. Wore my WFO hoodie this morning. Is it nice, Monica? Is it good quality? Is it good enough quality? Got the impression from Larry that he really isn't interested in driving in an NHRA race. Yeah, they're having their own conversation about Larry Dixon driving a pro stock motorcycle. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. Yeah, Caps. Just don't crash the car like WJ did. Well, you got to do that, Derek. That's so mean to bring up poor WJ's thing. No, I'm not going to, or maybe I will. Maybe you need to go see is what's going to happen to poor Castello when he takes on Flying Ryan. By some people, by others, it's not. By some people it is, and others it's not. Now, this is one of those deals where it's out there and it's being talked about by everybody, but it hasn't been confirmed by the people that are involved. The people that are involved are choosing to wait for a reason that I don't know what it is. And is their right to wait as long as they choose or never make an announcement about it. Just let it go. I don't agree with that. Like when a story gets so much momentum from so many people that it's ready to burst out there, to hold it back. I don't understand, but it's a choice. Maybe there's an I that's not dotted or a T that's not crossed. Maybe the whole story is ready to fall apart, right? Drag Race Central, like you just don't know. But in the larger world of I got CNBC up on the screen there, you can play you don't want to have things come out prematurely. But this rumor has been busting out for weeks and months now. And at the finals, it came out. And I said it by mistake. Like Reinhardt said that he said it by mistake and got a text. And I got a text like, oh, it's not ready. It's not that. Now's not the time. Well, when everybody's asking me, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to lie to my audience and say, oh, yeah, it's not a thing. I don't know about it. No, it's obviously a thing that everybody's talking about. And everybody wants to know about it. Where's the press release? And why hasn't it come out? What's the reason? Maybe it's falling apart. Maybe there's something wrong with the deal. Like we don't know. Or maybe they just don't want to put anything out about it. And we show up at the Winter Nationals and we see that it's true. There's 100 things that could be the situation and we just don't know them. And when you leave things to the public to just ponder and wonder, they can create and make up a lot of possible stories. Like what is going on? I don't know. But like, what am I supposed to do when I get asked? Gloss over it and ignore it and say there's nothing to see here? No, I owe it to my listeners. I have to mention it now. And I just did. I think they should put out a press release immediately. Like lock it down. And what is it? Is it yes? Is it no? Is it maybe? Is it soon? Maybe they're waiting for PRI, announcement to come, announcements pending, or, we just don't know. And everyone is waiting to find out. But you can only wait so long before the horse wants to run. And that's what's happening with everybody. Everybody wants to run. Oh, you love the sweatshirt. Good. WFO logo on the back of AJ's zip up is huge. Much bigger than my pullover. Oh, it's on the back. That's cool. Yeah, Steve, art guy, has been tasked to, he has taken liberty to do the things on the back. Because it's a zip up. It makes perfect sense. They've got all kinds of different things there, guys. And they're on sale right now. Like, for instance, a hoodie is normally $45. They're $35 right now in the merch store. You going to buy or what? You going to buy? You going to take this? You going to buy? All right, guys, that's all I got. It's been fun. Remember, WFO continues through the off season. We continue. So we'll be back next week before Thanksgiving for a couple of shows. Caps tomorrow. Set a reminder. Caps tomorrow. WFO, where much will be revealed and some probably won't. Big thanks to all our listeners and everybody out there who has been supportive of this show. Remember, you are our marketing department. The only way people find out about WFO Radio and the great, wonderful secret that it is in the sport of drag racing is for you to tell someone, to actively recruit new listeners, watchers, and viewers. The WFO Radio TV YouTube channel is a great way to start. Direct them to the YouTube channel. That's where we're going to put Joe versus Pro and various other things. Thanks to Alan Reinhardt. Thanks to all you listeners. Thanks to everyone who's supported us over the years. The NHRA schedule for 2022 is out. You can go to NHRA.com and print out this handy-dandy PDF, which gives you every category and every race. And that way you know. And mine is going to go like right here. I'm excited about 2022. Who knows what will happen? Who knows what lies ahead? Tony Schumacher coming back. Tony Stewart coming in. Congratulations to Neil Strasbaugh for being elected crew chief of that team. So many exciting things. Sport of drag racing. And it looks like positivity is winning out over negativity amongst our fans, amongst all those people out there behind the keyboards. It looks like the positive stories are winning, which is great. Great news. Thank you to everyone. Appreciate all you. Jim says thanks. Dragster Jeff says thanks. I'm going to leave you with this. Tomorrow, noon Eastern, be here. Ron Capps, the start of our Parade of Champions for 2021. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time on WFO.